Hi, and welcome to A Punk with Toys. My name is Lawrence, and today we're going to be taking a look at the G.I. Joe Mezco Rumble Society Rumbler. Yes, this big bad boy. We're going to be opening him up. We're going to be taking a look at it, looking at the electronics, seeing what it does. And I will also do a size comparison to the Stinger. I will do one probably to the Hiss. I also have some Joe figures because I think a lot of people are going to use it for G.I. Joe. That aren't using it for Mezco. So we'll compare those, see how they fit in, see how it compares to that figure. And I also have some of my G.I. Joe Mezcos to compare it to, and also maybe some extra pieces. So this Rumble Society figure that's like a cockroach, maybe I can make him into another figure that works with G.I. Joe and other military lines like that. Or maybe I'm just going to say, hey, you know what? It doesn't really matter. I like the way this figure looks, or hell, maybe I'll sell him. I don't really know what I'm going to do, but we're going to take a look at this. And I know what some of you are thinking. Man, it's been a long time, and you're absolutely correct. So what I'm going to do at the end of this, and all the way at the end of this video, I'm going to explain the road to getting this. And let me tell you, it's a complete cluster, all right? So if you want to hear the whole entire story, please watch through the video, or you know what, just skip to like the last 5 minutes, because I'm going to go on a hell of a rant, because I got to say, worst customer service ever when dealing with Mezco, but in the end, I did get it, and I don't review stuff to tear something apart. I review stuff, I buy stuff because I want it. So I'm going to give you my honest review. So anyway, I think I've waited long enough to open this. Let's get into this. But before we do, if you like this type of content, you like when I do vehicles, and I got more vehicles coming, please take a second, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you're notified every time I drop a Mezco, a vehicle, or any other type of video. Alright, so as I'd like to do with something like this that I've never dealt with before, I like to show you exactly how it's going to be packaged. Now, it came in 2 different boxes. There was no ends or anything, but it was nice thick boxing. So if you do cut it, you're not going to have to worry about cutting into the box if you're an inbox collector or you keep everything. So looking at it here, there's some foam right here. Let's grab our trusty razor blade. Just kind of slice it right up there. Let's see how this thing pulls out. And I have a feeling this thing is just going to be ready to go when we pull it out just like that. So that's how that thing comes out. We're going to take a look at the box in a second, but I did want to show you how this is. I think it's just easier to move the box around, but since we're here, let's just open up the packaging. And as we can see, here's our figure. And there's our Rumbler, and it literally is, looks like it is fully assembled, packaged in some nice foam right here, so you don't have to worry about it being damaged, all right? Now let's take a look at the box. All right, Rumbler box here. Oops, Rumbler box here. All right, this is the reinforced urban military battle land rig. Features a battery-powered lights and winch, real shock absorbers, removable armor paneling, free rolling wheels, and much more. Includes exclusive Death Adder figure. So here we can kind of see there's your Death Adder. Whoever this guy is, he's got a nice drill. Nice artwork. I think it actually looks pretty nice. Ages 18 and up. Okay, you're not going to get that for sure with Hasbro. Here's a little rat with a, again, a knife as an arm. Here's all kinds of artwork, kind of telling a little story about what this thing actually is. Here we have our caution. This truck is badass. You gotta love that. I think that's actually pretty damn funny. Here we have the artwork of the Death Adder smoking a cigarette. Again, I kind of like the figure, and it might work with the R.U.M.B.L.R figures. Here is your Rattler, your Rumbler, Rumble Society right there. Again, nice art. And then on the back, it harkens back to what we had as a kid with the old Sky Strikers and stuff like that from G.I. Joe. And this thing says, "Holy shit, this thing is awesome." And then you have, I guess if you want to color it in, you're more than welcome to. Caution, dopeness inside box. And then we have Rumbler, again, Gives you all the contents, Rumbler vehicle, heavy duty tires, removable window armor, removable window glass, working front and rear lights, working winch, hook and cable, shock absorbers, 6 opening doors, opening top hatch with standing bucket, fold down seats, removable top rack and floodlights, opening hood with removable engine, antenna, mini ladder, optional Gatling gun or missile launcher, secret rear weapons storage, exclusive Death Adder figure with weapons. Now you may go, why did you read that? Because halfway through it, there was no eject button. What am I supposed to do but finish? So you know what? There it is. That is the box. As you can see right over here, that is the Death Adder. We're going to pull everything out. And let's get right into this. So what we have here is the foam that it came in. And of course, I didn't really notice, but up here is your instructions. And here is all of your accessories. So here we have the instructions of how to put everything together. And let's be honest, for over $300, I'm definitely going to pay somewhat attention to it. Oh, look, we have the batteries that came with it. That's good because I went and grabbed AA. We have the R.U.M.B.L.R middle finger, FU R.U.M.B.L.R, and it says R.U.M.B.L Society on it, so that's your license plate. We have the Gatling gun, all right, which I think looks pretty cool. We'll quickly just, I guess I might as well just kind of review this as I'm pulling this stuff out here. So you got your 2 handles right here. You can see how it's going to pop on there. All right, it looks like probably some lights or some, maybe a laser pointer. Not a lot of detail, to be honest, but enough. And then you have, it can actually spin, and if you don't know, Gatling guns actually fire out of the top barrel, and they spin to keep it cool. But that looks pretty damn cool. We have some different ammo belts. So here is the, I guess, ejected ammo. And here's the actual bullets. So no paint on them. That's kind of shocking, but maybe they're just all black. No big deal. Here we have the ladder. This is going to be the turret for it. I guess this kind of pops in here. This is actually pretty cool. Look, at the gun actually can go up and down. That, oh wow, that's shocking, man. Like, you can go up and down. Who would have thought of that? This is an antenna. You see a tip right there. It's obviously going to plug in somewhere right there. So he's going to have a CB. I'm going to guess he's like, you know, one R.U.M.B.L.R Society, something like that. Here we have the rockets. And then some blast effects. Like so. I'll be interested to see how all this goes on here. And then we have the missile launcher. All right, so missiles are going to kind of plug right into that. They don't give you a lot of blast ports. As a matter of fact, there's nothing on the back. All right, so looking at this here, that thing, I'm assuming it's going to plug in like so, and then you're going to put a missile right there, rocket, whatever you want to call it. So anyway, looking at that, you're going to plug this into it. Very simple contraption, I'm assuming here. But all in all, a nice sheen on this, and then you have matte right here. So it does give it some different looks. Again, looks pretty cool. I am excited. I've been waiting almost 2 months to get this and get mine out here and get my hands on it to play around. So anyway, there is that. Now let's get into the figure. All right, so quickly, I just want to show you this before I open it up. This is how every Mezco comes. So it comes in a box about the same size as most Mezcos. It comes all encased. For $325, and I know it's free shipping, for $325, this should have had its own box just like every other Mezco does. It's just something little rather than just a regular plain white box. People can say, hey, now you're just kind of nitpicking and griping, but hell, I wasted a lot of time waiting for this. But either way, something like this would have shown a lot to it. Imagine a HasLab coming and the classified figures are just thrown in a box. and there's no artwork on it. You'd be a little aggravated. But anyway, I'm going to open this up. This is how every Mezco comes. If you don't know, you can go look at some of my other Mezco videos where I actually do some unboxing. Alright, so Death Adder is out, and this is what we're going to look at first here. And here is the little the instructions. So you can see he has a cigar. He's got an eye patch, which is already on there. You can see the Uzi submachine gun, and then you can see the handgun. Now, I can say that these weapons here are a reuse of, at least a reuse of Snake Eye. So, and then, of course, we have what every Mezco gives you is this baggie, so you can mark what figure it is, put all of your accessories or all of his accessories into here. That's a nice little idea. It's good. I don't ever put anything on there. Here we have the Hit Squad special. I'm sorry, the H Squad. I'm assuming means Hit Squad special missions. So this is the same stands. A lot of people have seen these G.I. Joe and Cobra ones that I use on when I do my ranking, well, or my ratings videos. Well, they're Mezco. Now it does have this piece right here. So if we want to make this into a wonderful flight stand, and it is an awesome flight stand, you have to pop this out, which isn't the easiest thing in the world, but, oh, actually this one popped out super easy. So anyway, the peg just pops out, that thing pops in there, and then you got this really, really nice flight stand. All right, get that up there a little bit so you can kind of see it. All right. So, let's look at all the accessories that Death Adder comes with. Then we're going to take a look at Death Adder and see how everything goes. So, first off, we have his Uzi. Now, so there's a little bit of paint right there. That's a little bit, so there's paint on the stock here. Stock, it does pull out. It's a collapsible stock. It is painted. At least I think it's painted. It might actually be done in that color. You got your grip here. That looks pretty cool. I'm going to move this a little bit closer. All right. You got a removable magazine with painted bullet right there. You can see how it looks. All in gold, and then the bottom is black. You got your trigger guard, your grip, port for blast effects, which he doesn't have any blast effects, which is kind of shocking. And Mezco uses a different size. And then you can kind of see the clip that if you want to put a sling on it, that you can put that right there. So, Uzi looks nice. You have, let's move that. Here's the pistol. Again, blast effect right there. It has a retractable slide. And it does have, once again, a removable magazine. Now I know, so there's your bullet. All right. It's painted gold. This is what you're getting when you start ordering Mezco. This is why you're paying this high price. All right. Again, slide right there. So you don't have to order an extra set of guns. It looks like you can just kind of take it off. If you want to also, again, there's so many different things you can kind of do with this. So I want to get it back on because it's off. So put the slide back on there. But the gun looks really nice. Really big grip, though. All right. Really big grip. It doesn't really fit, I know, Snake Eyes all that well. So here's the same one. Again, you can see the nice paint on it. Everything does look nice. You have an extra magazine. Or shall I say 2 extra magazines for it. They always give you extra magazines. And again, painted bullets in there. And then here's your extra magazine for the Uzi. Now, again, this is one of those things where it's like, they give it to you for not only display, but probably because they're worried you're going to lose it. There is his suppressor for the Uzi. Oh, I guess you could use it for the pistols too. But that's going to plug right in there. So you got a nice looking suppressor. I believe that we can use it on here too. So if you want to have a suppressed pistol, you can do that also. But this port is much smaller than any of the Joes or Valorverse or anything like that. So be very careful with it. All right. Multiple hands here, as we can see. So here is this hand. Their hands are very pliable. All right. So looking at it, it looks like you got some like knuckle dusters right there. A nice detail. All that paint. No real paint rub. Got the gold right there. So there's your trigger finger. There's your open hand. And then there is your C-grip hand, okay? All of them, paint looks really good. And then here, his mechanical hand, and we'll take a look at it. All right, this kind of looks like Unicron. Look at it, I'm looking at Unicron. But you got the gray here. And look how nice the paint is. It has only 3 fingers and 1 thumb. One big thick one right there. And then you got this one also here, so it's kind of open. So I got like 2 open hands, but one with a bent thumb, one with a more straight thumb. And then, of course, I have a C-grip hand right here. All right, so I think that looks really good. All right, and then we have the 2 different cigars that he can smoke. All right, so I think that looks pretty nice. There's no doubt about that. And again, it looks like he's kind of, I think, blowing out the smoke. We'll take a look at that in a second. All right, and then we have 2 little weapons that he has. Like, I know we've seen these in ninjas before. We've seen them in ninjas before. All right, it has like a little circle right there. If anyone's wondering why I'm kind of distracted, my daughter was trying to tell me something. And looking right there, it's got what looks like maybe a little snake or some sort of design on it. And they are collapsed, and they do not open up. So I think they're supposed to open up, or maybe they're just meant so he can kind of punch with them, but it doesn't make any sense why that would be very sharp. So anyway, there you go. That's everything that comes with the death that they have. They're all have accessories. Now let's take a look at the figure. And Mezco is known for their soft goods, all right? So just quickly looking at this figure, and yeah, I brought these heads down. I thought this thing looked good before, and now I'm looking at it in person. I'm like, damn. All right. So looking here, he is the Nick Fury of these the R.U.M.B.L.R Society. So looking here, you can see the gold eye. You can see the teeth right there. Here we can see the patch. And we see how it just wraps right around. But look at all that detail in it. Again, he really has that snake look. He will fit perfect if you want him to be, you know, your part of your Cobra La. Now, this is supposed to come off. Maybe it does. So, there's his missing, it is a missing eye, isn't it? Looks like the eye is completely torn out. And you can see where the patch is supposed to go. So it just follows it. I don't think you're going to have this off too often. Look at that tongue. And this looks awesome. And then here, it's just a plastic strap. And even on the back, you can kind of see where he's able to tighten it. So it has the clasp right there. Let's throw this thing back on here. I think it's pretty sweet. All right. Moving down. They're known for their soft goods, so this is what you're going to be looking at. He obviously removed the sleeve on his mechanical arm. He's got the big H squad right there. A zipper that's just probably too big, to be honest, but it actually does move up and down. I'm assuming you can probably zip it up. I'm not going to bother. But it does feel like a nice pleather. All right, I'm just kind of going all the way down. I mean, this is the Fonz, right? So that looks really good. Then you have the gold arm right here. All right. So this guy might fit with Pimp Daddy Destro perfectly. But look at the detail here. You get like the mechanics kind of sitting right in there. This is something that definitely Destro could have worked up to make him a little bit more powerful. All right. But he has a fist. There we have the soft goods chest. We have the nice belt. You can see the belt buckle right there. Here we can see a couple pouches. You can see exactly where his pistol is going to go. Now, I like this because one problem with this Destro right here and some of the other Joes is that this thing keeps sliding down. We won't have to worry about the sliding down because it's on elastic right there, so it's going to keep it up. but it's got a little bit of paint. You got the nice camouflage, which is real camouflage because it's real soft goods. And then we get down to the boots right here. And again, I think that looks pretty good. Nice color in it. You can see where the straps are supposed to go to hold this all together. And then you got some nice little shin guards. As for the articulation on this figure, well, he can only look up about that far. And then he can look down and side to side. Now, the one good thing about not soft goods over this is we don't have to worry about seeing if it's going to break the joint. So there's his T-pose. He twists right there at the bicep. So there's your bicep swivel. Pinless double elbows. And this thing is very smooth. And then you're going to have his hand that can kind of move in and out. Whether or not they have... whether or not he has butterfly joints, you can't really tell. But it does look like this arm does go in pretty well there. This hand does the same thing, but you got to be very careful because since you can't see underneath this, this is where you kind of run into some problems, and you got to be worried that you could easily break it. All right, and you don't want to leave this in a bent position too much. You don't want this to start cracking. All right, he can lean forward like that and lean backwards. There's your. Well, again, you have to be scared. You have to be careful of this stuff. So there's like the best T-pose. All right. Double and pinless knees. He does swivel right there at the thigh. And these figures are super smooth. He has the boot cut. And then your ankle rockers. All right. So quickly here. We have a hand that can pop off. Now the thing about Mezco, if you don't have... You see this? This is how their joint is. This is a nice hard plastic. This here is very soft and pliable. So their hands are super easy, and I mean super easy, to swap out. All right? So these things come off no problem. I think the trigger finger is definitely what I need. Then we're going to take the pistol. We'll slide that right in there. So you have a nice looking figure, even if he's not humanoid. But let's say, hey, we want to make one. So we're going to pop this off, and now we can still see the neck. But I guess sometimes you have to ignore some things. Maybe that's just a turtleneck that's running up to him. So even we can see if rock and roll looks good. I mean, it looks kind of weird. I guess you kind of do see the snake right there. But if it's covered, you can kind of say it's a turtle. Here is your Destro. Well, Destro actually is pretty damn badass like that. His head sits up kind of high. Here is your Tommy Arashikage. That is his unmasked head. I thought there was no reason to grab a... There's no reason to grab the masked head. So there you go. That works. And this one might actually work with the Battle Armor Cobra Commander that has the eyes. And then you have your Duke. So I just want to throw on a few other heads, see how they fit. They don't fit all that well because it has a pretty big neck here, and that has a lot of space right there. So as for the size of this figure, before we get into the actual R.U.M.B.L.R, there we go. Whew. Knock that thing off. So there's our Death Adder. Grab my Duke, and you can see exactly, pretty much probably the same buck for the most part. You know, Destro here. He's a little short for Destro in my opinion, but about the same size. Then I can grab our Iron Grenadier, not Iron Grenadier, our Crimson Guard. And he's about the same size. Actually, he's technically shorter because you can see where these shoulders are. So, all right. Now, it's time to look at the R.U.M.B.L.R because that's what you guys all came for. Other than my story, which is going to be at the end of this. Man, I almost forgot to put the cigar in his mouth, which would have been a complete waste here. So, according to the instructions, as we can see, right there, it's going to go in on that side, which is the more open side. And again, This is very pliable, so it doesn't have like a hole there, which is good. So you want them smoking a cigar? Okay, that is, though that is so badass. So it just kind of sticks right in there. They look like they're the same one. Again, I think they add some stuff just in case you lose it. So that's how the cigar goes in there. All right, I'm going to try and do this as best that I can. Now, I did take a look at the back or the bottom. I already added the batteries. All right, again, it takes 3 AAA. They already come with it. There is an on-off switch. So quickly, we'll take a look at the bottom. You have to unscrew it very easily. As you can see, here are the buttons right here. So you have exterior lights, interior lights, and then your winch right here. You have your exhaust right here. You kind of have an undercarriage, just kind of giving you some look. But again, that is if you want to kind of flip it over on its side. The 3 buttons up here kind of make it look like one of those like $20, $30 cars that you get at Walmart, but that's not the worst thing in the world now, is it? All right. Now, let's just say they saved a lot of money on paint apps because it is all black, all right? These things are all going to be different sheen, it looks like. All right, so quickly, as we kind of look at everything, I'm going to take everything off, and then we'll put everything on, all right? So I went over these instructions. We'll kind of leave them right here in case if I have to look at it. So all of this stuff here is going to pop off if you want. All right. So this is going to pop off. There's your grill guard. All right. Which looks pretty cool if you want that on there. Now the windshield here just kind of sits here. So I guess you take the windshield out. I feel like there should be something, unless if I'm missing it. So this piece here, look at this. So you're going to pop this piece out if you don't want the grill guard on. And if anyone is here like, hey, why do you do this? Well, I just like to give you an idea. All right. So that thing's going to pop on there. Now you kind of have your A-Team looking van, but you do have a nice green tint right there. All right. So we're going to have the exact same things here. Pop these windows off. So, all right. So everything is going to come off. We are learning together. And I guess if you want to pop them off, but that really wouldn't make any sense. So we're going to leave that on for right now. This is going to be a hell of a review, if you know what I mean. Might even have to stop it to get... You know what? We're going to leave this for right now. No, I'm not, because it's going to drive me nuts. It is going to drive me absolutely crazy if I leave this off while I'm trying to do it. All right. Oh, just going to pop that off. That is going to be a complete pain now, isn't it? All right. Are you guys ready for a long review? All right. So as we can see, that stuff comes off. Here's your grill guard. All right. You got your lights. You got your grill. The wheels do not turn. I mean, I guess they move a slight bit. This whole piece does come off. All right. Again, just a little bit of sheen on it. Not very much. And then here's your winch that we can pull out. And as we've talked about already, that can just kind of retract. All right. So when I look here, this is where it pops in. This is where we're going to do the R.U.M.B.L.R. Now, I'm assuming it should go, I think it goes on the back. I think I can put one on the back. Oh, I don't know. You're telling me I can't use this piece if I don't have the grill guard on. Well, that's really disappointing. I mean, extremely disappointing because I kind of want the grill guard on. So anyway, the grill guard snaps into here. You have your whole grill. There is your engine. Now, I don't understand because they said it has a removable engine. But this hood really seems to only go up so far. And I'm really pressing. I mean, I'm lifting it, so quickly you look inside of there, and you can see it has a nice full engine, no paint or anything on it. So this is a customizer's dream, but we gotta see if that thing actually comes off, because lifting it up here only does so much, in my personal opinion. All right, since we're looking at it here, there are the lights. All right, and then if you want the inside lights, you can kind of see them glowing. And we'll open up the doors and get to everything. All right, so up here we have some floodlights right there. Let's turn this thing off. I'm not sure how long they stay on for. You got your floodlights up there. All right. I don't know if these are supposed to be floodlights also to go with it. Wow, this is going to be a nightmare. All right, you got these handles here that I do believe we can remove. These do remove. I'm not really sure why. Because once we pop this off, you'll see that this thing here, I think it's supposed to go in between here. Like that. That thing just pops right back on there. And sometimes you start doing a review and you're like, wow, this is not going the way I had expected. But we're here anyway. So, hit this. Then we just have it stop there, so now I know exactly how far it needs to go. Alright. Let's look at everything, and then we'll get more into this. So we got these nice wheels. Alright. They are kind of rubber. Not the greatest rubber. Not like the Stinger or the Vamp or anything like that. Again, it does look like, I mean, this does move slightly. So I'm wondering what I'm missing here. Looking at the bottom here, there's really only so much room for it to move. But it does have its shocks. And it can really only absorb so much. The back you can absorb more. But it does have some nice tread, so you can kind of run it through there. You got your turn signals, running lights. There's your regular lights. You do have a actual mirror right here, the same as the Stinger and the Vamp. On the top, we're going to get a hatch that does open. So there's the hatch that opens, and they can actually be seated right there. What another amazing concept. Here we have a hatch that opens up here, so two hatches that open up. All right, so there you got that hatch right there, and again, if I hit the lights, now you can see on the inside. And it does have a nice real look to it, I guess you could say. All right, but on the back here, as you see, it has the grates on here. Obviously supposed to protect it a little bit more. You got your door right here, or another window right there. Little handles that stick out. You got your big wheel flares. You do have a step bar. No pegs on it, which I'm perfectly fine with because Mezco uses a different size peg than anyone else. All right. On the back, you got some air vents. You got these two doors, and they're going to open up somehow. Man, I tell you, this thing is a nightmare to review. We're going to get that open in a second. Before I scream, maybe. I already opened the back, so I know they open. There we go. So the doors do open. And then you can see exactly how this thing is going to sit. I do believe it comes off. Here we have a big hitch. This slides open so you can put weapons, maybe death adder stuff, if that's what you want. All right, and then on the side we got the exact same stuff. All right, on the inside, one door swings open this way, and then this door swings up this way, which I really like. It makes it so you're going to be able to, I think, fit the figures in there a little bit easier. I do not believe the doors are meant to come off. So looking here at our instructions, they kind of just show how they go up, and they're showing everything here. Again, the one thing that I'm not seeing is how does the engine come out? Because I thought it did say the engine comes out. So maybe if you take it apart, maybe Gun Bunny's going to take it apart and do some stuff. I don't know. Anyway, glove compartment. All right, so let's take a look. We're going to try and get in here the best that we can. Got to say, the lights definitely help out. All right. So, dude, I don't even know how to get in here. There's your glove box, and it is supposed to open up. So the glove box opens up. Throw one of the guns in there. All right. You can see the computer screen right there. So it has like its own little computer right in there. There should have been some paint for $325. If I talked how I did about the Vanguard, and I know people hate me because they say I just try to rag on it, but I pointed the same thing out. You look at the Vamp and the Stinger. There's a lot of detail. There's detail, but give us some paint apps, some stickers. It's a computer screen right there, or a computer keyboard. Very, again, to me, that is very disappointing for what we're paying for this. All right, back seats do fold down. You got your cup holders right there. And then we're going to roll all the way over here, open this up, and what we have is a steering wheel, which can turn. It doesn't really do anything. You can see the cluster gauge, but once again, nothing to it. Again, no paint, no stickers. This is disappointing for $325. I know it has a lot of bells and whistles and a really nice figure, but again, when you're paying this much, I would expect a little bit more for what I'm looking at, okay? It looks like you have some, I can't think of the names. Mud flaps, or not mud flaps. Yeah, you guys will tell me in the comments. It does have pedals right there. All right, and once again, this thing, I do like the way it opens up. All right, so as for all of this, let's look at everything that it does, because I think there's a lot that's going to be here that people are going to want to look at. All right, so we have this piece that comes up, and we can actually take out this section here. So if you don't want to be able to stand, you don't want the guns on it, now that is no longer, that's no longer there. So now we can slide stuff in there. Same with the ramen van. You're able to store weapons, crates, different things like that if that's what you need to do. All right, but for our purposes, it looks like it only sits one way. It's keyed in. All right, so we're going to key this down. Yep, it's keyed one way. So it sits like this, so you can actually have the back seats up and have figures in there. These pieces come off like so. The lights come off. So you want to take all of this off and just make it a regular type truck. This is what you can do. Again, it does look nice, but again, the detail on the inside, they saved a lot of money on paint apps, which is odd because Mezco is all about paint apps and what they give you. All right, so we've taken all of this off here. Let's open this up. Take our machine gun, and that thing will slide right up on top like that. It's on this ball joint. It can move this way, rotate up and down, back and forth. So you can get it in all kinds of positions. I can shoot up at a rattler, a dragonfly, or claws, anything like that. I can also shoot it down if somebody's coming at it, unlike just shooting completely straight. That is a nice little touch. Who would have thought of that? Anyway, we pop this off here. And then we get our missile rack. The missile rack just pops right on here. Now, I'm assuming you probably don't want to be there, although the exhaust is up top there. So here's our missiles. which I haven't even opened up yet. This is stuff I normally do. Not on camera. But if you're here still and you're like, hey, why do you do it like this? I want everyone to see what it's like when you open this up. All right? I want you to know, hey, this is what I had, so you're not completely struggling. Or even if you are struggling, you're like, all right, I'm not the only one. Now, I gotta say, these things go... I feel like these are gonna be... It's gonna be nice and tight to get out, so just be very careful, depending on how far, if you want to pop them out. All right. So there's all that. Now what we're gonna have is the blast effect. So there's your rocket. Just kind of plugs right in there. And then we throw that right there. And you got a nice little effect, if you can see it, which you can't. And then we have these smoke effects. And the smoke effects are going to plug like so. They're keyed. See, they're keyed right there, and then they're keyed that way. So they go in like so. These ones go here. So they're mirror images of each other. And then it looks like you're blowing smoke. Cool deal, right? I think that works. This is like one of the things I really liked on the Vanguard. I thought their missile effects were awesome. This is nice. There's just not as many of them. All right, so let's pop this off again. And here we have the Gatling gun. And what we actually have here is the ejecting portion of the bullet belt. And then we have the bullet belt. And the question is, where does it plug into? The bullets should be exiting on one side. Actually, the bullets go that way. Again, thank you for watching. Please hit that like button if you haven't yet. There's your bullets. And there's the plug for the ejecting shells. So there's your belt. That's all popping out. And we're going to pop this right up there. Now once we lift that up, now we got to move it around. Don't worry, we will get figures in here. That is for sure. All right, so let's get this thing back together, if at all possible. Because I figure I might as well have it armored up the best that I can. I don't know where that goes. I don't know where everything goes. This thing is massively crazy. And again, trying to review the stuff, that is where you, as you know, if you watch my stuff before, where I can tend to ramble on. This thing's going to be like an hour long, especially with my story at the end. So please stick around till the end so you can hear what I have to say. Especially if you're Mezco, then stick around because maybe you'll figure something out. All right, so this thing went somewhere. So everything kind of pegs right back in. It is somewhat of a pain. I am not going to lie about that. This thing goes back here, I think. Or not. How'd this go? You guys remember where this thing went? All right. Antenna. Plugs in here. You can see it's very long. It is meant to fit right in there. So it's not just always up in the air. I do like that idea. That's actually pretty cool, to be honest. All right. I'm so aggravated over the engine. And I'm wondering how this engine is supposed to come out. Kind of wish this... I wish these things came off easier. That's the honest truth right now. Alright. I like this because the lighting is going to make you be able to take some nice shots. But the frustrating thing is, I don't know how I'm going to be popping this off every single time. That is just a pain. Alright. Alright. We got to figure this out. So I'm going to stop the camera so I can breathe, because I need to breathe. Alright. Two things. That piece I was looking for goes here. So when you have to have the roof rack off, that goes underneath there. The engine is not removable. It says viewable engine. Again, I was rambling on. It was like in the middle of the part where I said I should have stopped. All right. And that's going to move up and down. And again, technically it is viewable, but it's not that great. Again, it's all black. There's nothing to it. Again, very disappointing with the price that you're paying. Here is the ladder, and this thing is going to plug in like so. Again, I like some of the detail on this. $325. Well, I'm starting to have my thoughts about $325 and whether or not if it's worth it. All right. So there we have everything kind of done. I got to say, how long have we had this on? And look, I have not touched... That's frustrating. I have not touched the lights again. So I hope this thing turns off on its own. I didn't see anything about it, but there's a lot of different nuances. So, all right, let's get to this. And let's see about fitting some figures in it, because, hell, isn't that kind of the purpose of this thing? To fit figures in it. So, I guess we should start with our Death Adder and see how well he fits in it. Now, I don't believe the seats move back and forth. You can kind of see them rocking, though. There's no shifter on here, which is also good. Ramen van, it broke very easily. All right, so Death Adder. I actually goes in there really easily. Had no problem getting this figure in there at all. Now, do I think a roadblock is going to fit? And I mean a G.I. Joe Classified? Probably not. Now, you can get his hand around there. Again, these things are very pliable, so I don't really have a problem with that. All right, so we got him just kind of there. There's no issues. We can close the door. So we got to close that one. We can close the door. And unfortunately, with all the grates here, well, you know what? I take that back. You can see them. The inside lighting is awesome. Like that, I really do like. You know, let me pop that down. And the fact that we can open up the top here. Don't try and open it from here. You gotta open it from there. We're gonna pop this up here. So now, if we want to go to the top, we can see exactly how he's gonna set. All right, but let's start doing some other stuff. So, there we go. There's the back of them. Let's grab... I thought these guys would probably be perfect for this. All right. So the question is, how well do the guys sit in the back seat? Kind of worries me. But if you look underneath here, you can kind of get their feet underneath there a little bit. So, I mean, for a big old SUV, you're not going to get really good seating. And that right there is problematic in my view. All right? I should not have any problem getting any figures into something this size, right? And unfortunately, I mean, sure, I can get them in there. Their knees are going to be bent up. So, I mean, that's not a lot of fun. And yes, I know, before someone says, hey, well, that's classified, not a Mezco. Mezcos are going to be even harder because of the soft goods. So they can sit there, and I guess once you close the door, you're not going to notice. So I guess they just got to be always getting out. As for the top here, oops, we got to get someone behind the gun, right? So stow the gun up here. Let's actually clip this. And again, when you're doing a review, things are in the way. So just understand that it won't be as difficult when you're doing this at home by yourself. We got a Crimson Guard. I think he'll be pretty sweet in here just because, well, we gotta offset some of the color. Jeez. So looking up top right there. Open up that hands, like so, and vehicles are a pain to review. So here we have a figure, and can we get him to move it? We can get him to shoot down, looking down at it. Shooting up, it'll take a little bit more posing to do. But at least we know that this thing can shoot up. So you're kind of shooting up right there. Again, you are able to move them around, but the piece inside doesn't turn with it. That would have been a really nice working turret if it completely turned and moved that way. So all of that does work. All right. Now once again, we come back to the back doors. And we turn the inside lights on. Now, if you want to pop this out, with this, not really happy with the back seats. You can fold that down. Now we have all this access space. So I did not get the Mezco van, but what I do have is some stuff that I can throw in the back here, like some weapons crates. And they're easy enough to slide right in there. Unfortunately, ooh, that thing's gonna go down. But I can put it right down here. I mean, I like the folding seats. I wish there was more access to it. So there is that right there. So quickly, let's go over everything here once again. All right. So we've seen how all of these come off. They just kind of pop out. The window can also pop out along with the access panel that actually holds it on. And every single window is going to be the exact same. Gun comes up, comes off, turret moves. All of this stuff can easily pop off. We have 2 hatches that open up and close. Again, you have the same grates in the front. I think I'm probably going to remove the front just so I can get some pictures. We have a brush guard that pops off. Unfortunately, we can't use this without it. That's very disappointing. I feel like I thought it went somewhere. I swear there was a spot that it showed that you could put it if you weren't going to have that. And now I feel I'm aggravated by it. These lights do not light up. That would have been a nice little feature. They just go on and off. You got your step bars. You got your kind of rubber wheels. It does have shock absorbers right there. You got your tail lights, and obviously your dual doors right here. Missile launcher, along with blast effects. Now, let's compare this to a couple other G.I. Joe classified vehicles. All right, so here's a nice little size comparison of them. So you can see this thing doesn't sit nearly as high as the Hiss. You can also see that it sits way higher than the Stinger. You can also see it with the lights on. And of course, they got some blast effects that came with the Dragonfly that work. Now, I think, like I said, these blast effects probably won't work. I think you probably have to use some of the Mezco ones. But you know what? Let me grab some and see if they actually work. But here's where you just kind of get the size of it. And to look at it in the length compartment, there it is. It's not much shorter, but probably 3 inches shorter, where you have this profile. I gotta say that the camera doesn't really do very well there, but you can see the different sizes. Again, it's a nice medium size, but I do gotta say, like, for the price of it, I think there should have been more. I'm gonna say that. All right, and here's a 3-bullet port, and again, they just kind of can plug right in there. And again, Mezco uses a smaller port size than everyone else. It sucks. It means that they're not just universal, obviously, and you have to get more of their figures. Now I have a bunch of the blast effects, but I think this one probably looks the best on it. Although they should have bigger bullets coming out of it. So anyway, there you go. That is your, God, that's pretty much the Mezco R.U.M.B.L.R. I know I'm going to say I missed something. I know some of you are going to say, like, man, I can't believe I sat through this, but I appreciate it. It's been a long time coming. Now, if you think this is the end, you want to stick around because I'm going to tell you the story about what it took to get this and pretty much what poor customer service Mezco has. All right, so there you go. That is my R.U.M.B.L.R. review. Vehicles are not very fun to review, especially how I do them. And I know a lot of people might be going, why do you do them like this? I don't care. Well, then you don't have to watch. It's really simple. But I like to show you exactly what you're going to get and maybe the frustrations that you have to go through. I think I only watched 2 reviews. One was D-Amazing, and he had a lot of the same issues too, kind of going through it and finding different stuff. So I had known where some of the stuff was, and I believe the other one was B's Battleground. So I don't like to watch too many reviews till after I get it, but I do like to watch some. So I try and do my best to kind of show you everything. There's a lot to it. There really is, and hopefully it helps you or somebody out there make a decision, whether it be on eBay or Amazon, or this thing had to be ordered at Mezco. Now let's talk about Mezco. This is what you guys waited for. So I ordered this thing the day it went up, and it said that it would ship right after San Diego Comic-Con. Mezco is notorious for taking their sweet old time to ship stuff. They did the same thing with this San Diego Comic-Con, the Snake Eyes from a few years back. I understand that. So I believe on Friday of San Diego Comic-Con, which if I am correct was July 24th, they created a shipping label. Cool, wow, this is actually pretty early. Maybe we'll get it in a timely manner. Some time went by. B's Battleground tells me, hey, I got mine. Maybe yours are going to get it. Nope, it still says that it hasn't even left. They'll update it. I waited a little over 2 weeks, and I finally contacted Mezco through the little thing on their website. No one even contacts me. So then I go and I contact customer service directly through email like a day or 2 later. 2 days later, I get a response. Please confirm your email. I responded right away because I'm like, somebody is there. I want them to get it. Nothing. So I wait another 3 or 4 days. I send another message to them. And in a couple days, I get a generic message saying, It's very busy. We know it's real busy. These will ship out at the time or in a timely manner, whatever, right? I'm like, all right, this is now, we're into over 3 weeks that a shipping label has been created and other people are receiving it. Now, this has nothing to do with being a reviewer and feeling entitled or that I should have it and people are getting it early. It's that you created a shipping label and it hasn't even moved. So upon this last one, this third time that I had contacted them, I gave it to someone else who said, hey, let me see it. He said, why don't you try contacting the logistics company? Because Mezco doesn't ship these. They have a logistics company that does. So he figures out who it is, gives me a phone number to call, and I call them. Get a hold of a very nice lady, and she says, well, there's really nothing I can do. I said, well, can you look at it? And she goes, what does it say on your end? And I said, it says that it'll be updated. And she goes, well, that's all we're going to get to see. So either it's gotten lost in our facility or FedEx lost it. They never updated it because it's supposed to be trans. And she goes, I'd love to give you the phone number of my contact, but they don't even give it. But here's the email of the person. So I email that person and I get a response right away stating, hey, I'm on vacation. I won't be back till after the 4th. And I went, all right, or after Memorial Day, which was the 3rd, I think. So I'm like, great. But in the email, it gave me 2 other contacts. One was a controller, one was another female, I believe. So I waited till what she would have got back on vacation. I waited 2 days, and that's when I had lost it. Every single email has been very nice, but straight to the point. I've had bad customer service with them. That Duke right here, if someone from Mezco is watching, this is the Duke that you said you were going to send me another gun because the magazine was broken, and the backpack that was broken. That was in October of 2024. You said, give us, 8 to 12 weeks. And when I finally contacted you, I got a swarmy email saying, you know what? If you want, we're real busy, but we can just refund your money if you want to ship it back. Fucking ship it back. Why the hell would I want to fucking ship something back when you're not just shipping me couple things that you said that you would? But I gave up on that. But $325, and that's because I had like $20 in Mezco cash. So I got to use that towards this, or else this thing would have been $345 because it was free shipping. So the final one, the 5th time I tried contacting them, I sent it to customer service, to the original person that I got her email, the controller, and the other person. 4 emails and the same thing. And what I told them was, it's been 40 days since a label was created. I just want some sort of response from a human being. There's absolutely no reason for this. This is absolutely ridiculous. I've given up on getting the Duke stuff back. But you know what? I said, if I don't hear back from a real person, I will contact my credit card company and I will dispute this. That day, someone messaged me, emailed, and said, it looks like this was lost. We'll be sending you out another one. The next day, it was created. Move forward now, 4 days, 5 days, I think. This shows up here. The mass email has gone out that, hey, we understand a bunch of people didn't get their rumblers. We will be creating new shipping labels and packaging the rumblers that go out. How many of these did people not get? And I went on Facebook pages and they said the exact same thing. There were people that said, yeah, I ordered mine. But I know people were getting them, like Bobby B. And Bobby B is not on some special list like some other people in communities that get free shit because they kiss ass. So my thing was it my final email? Were there other people emailing? Why does your customer service suck so bad? And it does. And I hope someone from Mezco is seeing this. All right? Because it's bullshit that you can't have one person that checks the email and actually responds. Again, that Duke, whatever. It's a gun and the backpack that are broken. I'll survive. But the fact that you said you were going to replace it and you didn't. I have another person that, hey, you know what? They ordered something and they got 2 left feet or 2 right feet. And he said, I contacted them. This is what they said. 8 to 12 weeks will ship you one out. Well, I said, that's exactly what I got. And I actually showed him my email and he said, that's the same fucking email I got. I said, yeah, hopefully you have better luck than I do. So that's the story of this R.U.M.B.L.R. It took me over 40 days after getting a shipping notice that it didn't do anything. But it was people, it was contacting them. And the fact that you just can't say, hey, sorry, there's some issues, let us look into it. A real person. That's all that I was asking for. I wasn't even telling you to expedite it. I didn't say overnight this. I didn't say I'm demanding a new one. It took me 5 tries of finally getting a hold of you and saying, I'm going to dispute this on my credit card if this doesn't get resolved, if I don't talk to somebody. And finally, it got resolved. They have the worst customer service. And yes, I hope someone from Mezco has seen this. I don't want free shit from you. I don't need an explanation. I don't need an email saying, hey, we're really sorry. Just fucking be better. It's really that simple. Be better. What is Joey Swoles? Joey Swoles says, be better, right? Something like that. Well, just do it. Just do something better. But I'm going to get out of here. I have my R.U.M.B.L.R. I'm going to take some pictures of it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I didn't know if I need another vehicle. Probably don't. But I ordered anyway. Sorry about the rant. It's something that everyone that is close to me has heard. And I think most people can understand the issues that it seemed like Mezco wasn't going to do shit about it. Like they just didn't care. I'm going to get out of here. But please, if you stayed this long, God bless you. I do a lot of stuff, so please take a second, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you're notified every time I drop something like this. But don't go anywhere. I've done other Mezco stuff, and I'm going to leave a Mezco review right here. And down here is going to be a playlist of all the Mezcos that I've done. Take care.